About 1 week ago, my beautiful bride, Dearly, stopped using Facebook entirely, and something amazing has happened. She barely used Facebook in the first place. Now, years ago, she used it quite a bit, but in the last year or so, she has hardly used it, though she has used it on a daily basis. And I'm going to tell you how she used it, and it was very minimal, and that's why I'm really surprised by what's happened in the last week since she stopped using it, but I'm also going to explain why I think it makes perfect sense. I was thinking about this morning because I give a lot of advice on here. Basically, I share experiences I've had. It's not that I'm here giving advice, but I do take advice also depending upon the source. We have several subscribers on here. Cat Hill's one of them. There's a shout out, Cat Hill, who are very sage in their advice. I read their comments. They've shared a little bit about themselves. I know in Cat Hill's situation, she's a little bit older than me and a lot of us. She's of retirement age. So she's got a story to tell, and she's gained some experience, and I listened to it. She mentioned a few days ago, because I'd mentioned Elon Musk in a video about time management, she and a few others that I respect mentioned an interview that Elon Musk had with Joe Rogan on his YouTube channel about a month ago, and that I should watch it. So I found it 2 days ago, or maybe, no, it was yesterday. It's 2 hours and 37 minutes long, so I'm watching it in pieces. I'm watching 30 minutes a day for about 5 days until I absorb it all. I watched the first half hour yesterday. I watched the second half hour this morning between like 4:30 and 5 a.m. I mean, I get up super early, so okay, this doesn't have to do with Fakebook. I'm going to get to that in a second. I was curious as to how Elon Musk worked out his time management and prioritization and all that stuff, because he's accomplished so many things. He continues to accomplish so many things, and he's only a year older than me. He's an amazing person. But I realized very early on in this interview that really it is about time management and all this self-discipline stuff he does, but it's so much more than that, and there's just things that I would never be able to emulate. He is one, he does not think like the rest of us. In the beginning of the interview, they're joking around, and Joe is asking him if he's an alien, and even Elon Musk says he thinks he is. Of course, he's saying it tongue-in-cheek, but I'm telling you, this guy has a brain and thinks in such a way that maybe one out of every billion people every 100 years does. So anyway, with that said, they were talking about social media, how a lot of it, like Fakebook, is so fake, about how people aren't real, and that got me away from it years ago. I stopped using Fakebook myself years ago, and it involved some self-discipline. I realized it was a time suck. It was crazy, but I got out of it. Dearly got out of it for the most part, my wife, around the same time, but she maintained a presence over the course of the last year. Now, she is able to communicate with her family and those closest to her by other means. Email accounts that she's had forever, like I have. That's how I do it. I have an email account that I've had since, for 20 years now. And anybody who needs to get in touch with me can that way. So here's what happened. I guess Mark Zuckerberg, he's pretty reactive in regards to security. He's proactive with how he wants to generate his revenues. And that's why we left Fakebook and came to YouTube about a year ago. He wanted to start charging us boosting fees to allow you guys to see what we were posting. And if we didn't pay it, nobody saw it. So even though we had, I think we had like 50 or 55,000 fans on our Fakebook page when we finally left, we could make a video or we could write a blog article and nobody would see it unless we paid him money, and the math just didn't make sense, so we left. We came here on YouTube, and so far, fortunately, as of this recording, we're getting ready to hit 65,000 subscribers. You guys can all see what we post. We don't have to pay for you to see it. We don't charge you to see it. We don't do those premium membership fee stuff. We don't do Patreon. We don't e-beg with the GoFundMe and all that. We create and upload for free. You guys get to watch for free. It's win-win for all of us. So anyway, about a week ago, Dearly got a notification on Fakebook that she had to verify her account. She had to provide documentation saying she was who she said she was. Well, she opened that account many years ago when we were living in the Philippines and before we were married. So she's no longer who that account says she is, because she's now Dearly Lake. So we were talking about, she asked me, how do we verify this now that I'm married? And I said, well, you'd probably have to send in a marriage certificate, old ID under your old name, new ID under your new name, all this stuff. I said, honey, how about you just don't? How about you just don't? You know, your sisters, your brothers, your parents, your close friends back in the Philippines, the friends you made here, anybody of value to you can contact you with your email address. And she thought about it, and she said, okay, I try. So here's what's going on in the last week since my wife stopped using Facebook, and this is what has happened. Again, she barely used it. In moments of boredom, when she didn't really have time to get into doing something of meaningful value, she would pick up her phone and she'd get on Fakebook and she'd just start scrolling. Now, what would happen is the same thing that happens to many of you watching this video, no doubt, when you pick up your phone or get on your laptop and go to Fakebook because you're bored and you just start scrolling. She would get sucked in. She would go down this rabbit hole and she was lost. She might have had 5 minutes to kill before she planned on coming outside and doing something or maybe cooking something in the kitchen. And the next thing you know, an hour's gone by and she never went outside. She never started her little project in the kitchen, and she just burned up an hour of her life down the technological rabbit hole, looking at things that don't matter. People she may or may not know, posting selfies of themselves, reading headlines to news articles that upset her, that raised her anxiety level, that got her angry for no reason because it was nothing that directly affected her life, and it was certainly nothing she could do anything about, but it upset her. And if she was doing it in my presence and I'm just small talking with her and I'm hearing her say, yeah, she's not listening. She could hear me, but she wouldn't be listening. Case in point, we might be going somewhere. She's scrolling and I'd say, honey, will you turn on the porch light in case we make it back after dark so we can see? Because we live out in the middle of nowhere. There's no artificial lights. And I love that, by the way. So later, we'd be out, we'd come home after dark, and it's pitch black dark, and I can't see. I'm like, honey, I told you to turn on the porch light. And she'd say, no, you didn't. And I'd say, yes, I did. And you said, but you just didn't do it. Well, she was scrolling. She was down the rabbit hole. So these little things have not been happening in the last week. And her mood, her just overall general mood is so much better. She's always happy. She's always pleasant. You guys see her in the videos. She is just a joy to be around. She makes me laugh so hard that sometimes I literally pull stomach muscles. There's never a dull moment. But that has been intensified. All these beautiful things about my bride have been intensified because she's not scrolling, and for even if it's just 45 minutes to an hour a day, having her mood wrecked or at least offset in the least because of these negative media articles that are being served to her, these selfies that I heard Elon Musk, or no, it was Joe Rogan said it in this video thing I'm watching with Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, because it was recommended to me by some of our subscribers. Kat Hill, shout out to her, and some others said you should watch this interview. And they were right. Elon Musk does not think like the rest of us. He's where he's at, not just because of time management and prioritizing and knowing what's important and what's not. The man does not think the way... he is 1 in a billion that comes along once a century, if that. Watch that interview. It's about a month old and it's already got almost 16 million views, and there's a reason for it. This man is amazing. The way he thinks, he's got one of the most amazing minds to have ever been on this planet. So anyway, there I go, digressing, I'm rambling. What was my point of that? Oh, Joe Rogan, they were talking about the dangers of social media, and that's kind of why I'm thinking of this. And while they were talking, I was thinking, yeah, because it's 2.5 hours long. I'm watching it 30 minutes a day for over 5 days. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I watched it this morning between 4:30 and 5. I watched the second half hour of the interview, and I was thinking, where they're talking about this. You know, a lot of these people that take these selfies, they will make themselves up for that shot, and they wait until they get the perfect angle, the perfect lighting. That's the one they upload to Fakebook. And then we see these things and we compare ourselves to it. And Rogan was talking about this. He's like, oh, wow, that person's so beautiful and they look so happy. It makes me feel so bad. When in reality, I mean, maybe the person's beautiful. Maybe they are happy. But maybe they're not quite as beautiful as that picture portrays, and they might not be as happy as that picture portrays. But that comparison still makes us feel bad. And Rogan, he said, I think it was Roosevelt. I don't know if it was Teddy Roosevelt or Franklin Roosevelt, but he said, comparison is the killer of happiness, or comparison kills joy, something like that. That's one of the dangers of social media. So you get on there and you're scrolling and you're seeing all these beautiful people and Photoshop this, Photoshop that, and it makes you feel bad, kind of. Dearly hasn't been doing that. And she shouldn't be comparing herself to anybody because nobody can compare to her. You see her in the video, she's the most beautiful woman on the planet. I don't know why she's with me. But anyway, these have not been issues in her life in the last week, and I can tell a significant difference in her mood. And of course, that transfers to the mood of the entire family. And our new log splitter, we uploaded a video about it yesterday. We're going to upload another one later. We got yesterday of our son after school coming up. Dearly came up here with us because Daniel was excited about the log splitter, and she came up with us. Her phone stayed in her pocket, and she was never tempted to go back down to the house and pull it out. And again, she's never done that to any great degree anyway, because that's just not the life we live. But we ended up having so much fun with our son splitting this wood with that log splitter that we stayed up here till dark, and we had not planned it. But as a family, we stayed up here, played with our new toy until dark, splitting wood. And that's just another glorious benefit of just eliminating entirely the complete and total time suck of Fakebook. So, my wife stopped using Facebook entirely a week ago, and this is how it's affected her life, and it's how it's affected our family's life. And man, I wish she would have stopped scrolling completely a year ago. I didn't know that extra 45 minutes or an hour, she was getting sucked down that rabbit hole, and the effect it had on her mood. How much it was present in our life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Food for thought. That's your ramble for today. I want to thank each and every single one of you who are here with us for these things, and we'll see you for more next time from here to Homesteading Off the Grid. And here's your parting shot of the homestead.